watching from. It's always nice to know what is going on in terms of your day. And if you're watching this on Facebook, so on Facebook, I'd like to say please like and share, like and share. If you're watching us on Twitter, please retweet. If you're watching us on YouTube, pretty much just share the link. So remember to say hello and remember to like and share as I am right this very second. I'm liking and sharing. And here we go. I am sharing to our dear friend, Mr. Paul Jacobson's page, not to the other thing that's on your phone, sir. So there we go. We are live on Mr. Paul Jacobson's page. So again, I need to then, I'm sending you the link in a second. I need to then please tell you guys that there are three rules, three very big rules for my broadcast. Yes, kindness, dignity, respect. And that is towards myself, towards whomsoever I am interviewing, and of course towards each other in the links and comments, okay? And if you don't know what being kind, dignified, and respectful means, imagine if your mother is sitting next to you and watching you type whatever it is you were going to type. If she would smack you in the chops, then don't write it. Because if you do, you get a single warning, and if you don't obey, you're out of there. Again, I need to be absolutely clear, dissenting opinion is more than welcome. People who don't agree, please come on, but just try to be grown up. Austin, Texas. Hello, Austin, Texas. How you doing? Please just try to be adults and not be children. And if you have a personal experience, please, by all means, then tell us about it. Give us that information and let's move on, okay? So without further ado or a don't, I just need to explain from this particular situation that we are in right now. We are in Cape Town. This is the capital city of one of 9 provinces. It is the only province that is governed by the official opposition to the ruling ANC party, which is the Democratic Alliance. On the 1st of November, there are municipal elections. I'm doing good. How about you? I'm great. Thank you, Vera. Virex. I hope that you're doing really well down there in Austin, Texas. So on the 1st of November, there are elections. But to be clear, this doesn't elect a new president, a new cabinet, a new government. It does, however, mean that people's direct lives in their neighborhood will be affected. There could be changes, and that then could affect how cities are run. So not provinces, not the cabinet. So just to be absolutely clear. And one more thing, I am Indonesia. Hello, Indonesia. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? So if you guys want to know how this particular thing functions, that is what is going on. And the area I live in is Ward 54 in Cape Town. And that is an area from Sea Point, where I stay, Camps Bay, Banshee Bay, Fresnay. And it is an area that is up for grabs on the 1st of November. And as you know, I have interviewed the Democratic Alliance. I have interviewed the ANC. I have attempted to interview everybody. They have all been given, absolutely, totally, everybody's been given the opportunity. And the only other group that has taken it up is the Freedom Front. So they are here with us today. And the man who is in the hot seat is Mr. Paul Jacobson. So I'm going to turn it over to him for an introductory moment so he can tell us a little bit about himself. There you go. So let's change camera. There you go. Thank you, sir. Hello, Mr. Jacobson.
Hi, James, and thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to chat to your audience.
So, do you want to tell the people, first of all, where you are in terms of maybe a bit of your history, and then we can move on from there?
So I grew up in this beautiful city that James is at now, and Cape Town, and Sea Point is my suburb. I went to school here. In fact, I went to my junior school in Camps Bay, which is our neighboring suburb. And then I did my high school here in Sea Point. And after that, I went to university. My parents grew up in this area. My brothers were head boy. My other brother was vice head at both schools. Unfortunately, I was just your normal, what we call a scolly, a little bit of a naughty boy. So I didn't have the accolades of being a prefect or head prefect. But I have a long history. My mother taught speech here to most schools, children here from Camps Bay to Sea Point. And I absolutely adore this area. It's one of the most spectacular places in the world. I've traveled extensively what's beautiful about this area, we don't get the wind, we got clean air, and it's a nice, vibrant city, and we've got the beautiful smell of the Atlantic, which I can't get enough of. James, that smell of that seaweed is
I
what
do like, especially when it's going to rain. Yeah.
yeah, when it's right. So yeah, so that's I'm just a resident here. I work here. I have my children who go to school in this area, and I actually adore it. I walk the main road just for fun, just to see what the new shops are opening, and I support all the local shops here because I want this part of the world to thrive. It should be recognized as the top, one of the top tourist destinations in the world, and I don't think even we compete with Sydney in Australia and other popular tourist destinations. So hopefully, James, if I can make improvements here, we're going to attract more tourism, and then we can get better economic growth and make this a thriving hub like other areas of the world, Portugal, Vietnam, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a couple of questions. So question number one is, how many people in this ward are registered to vote? Do you have the last elections figures?
No, we don't. What we know is in the last elections, 4,000 people voted, but that was a by-election. We're expecting anything between 10,000 and 12,000 people to vote in that extensive ward from Woolly Point all the way to Camps Bay. So that's the numbers here.
So in other words, that is not the population of that area. So do you have any figures on what the population is of this area? Rough idea?
Well, the area of Seaport's about 14,000, but we add on to that Camps Bay and Woolly Point as well. Generally, with the elections, not by elections, we get a much bigger turnout, and it is a little bit disappointing. And we have all the parties that encourage our constituents to come out and register. 2 weeks ago, we had an opportunity for residents to register so that they can vote on the 1st of November. And I trust they took the advice from all these smaller parties and our Democratic Alliance as well, who advise people, get yourself registered so you can make a change in your community. If you don't make the effort to vote, then you don't necessarily have the say. So
that is absolutely true. You can't moan.
Yeah.
You cannot moan unless you actually have voted. Exactly. All right. So then, have you run for this ward before?
Right. I wasn't designed to be a politician at all. I'm just a community man, and I'm indebted to my community. I work for my community. I do a lot of stuff. So this journey of being a politician and standing came as a default. We try to encourage other people to stand up as a competitor to the DA award councillor, and nobody came forward. So I was encouraged by my community after 6 years of working hard to make a difference formally rather than just spending time behind the keyboard and complaining. So here I am, James. I've committed, made the decision probably a few months ago that I'm going to take a more formal role in standing up as a ward councillor nominee. And
okay, so your political party is called the Freedom Front Plus. So I'm kind of understanding that they changed the name from Freedom Front to Freedom Front Plus. Is there a significant reason for that?
Yeah, because what happened was they basically amalgamated with a lot of other parties that joined them. So the old Freedom Front Plus had a certain constituents, but what they did, they accepted or invited other parties to join them, and thus the plus. So it's larger than what it was before.
Do you have any numbers on how many people are particularly are members of your political party nationally? Do you have any numbers on that?
What we do know is that it's the 5th largest political party in South Africa. In the last national elections that we said. So this is a significant party, and it showed the biggest growth. It showed the biggest growth from the last elections. We're sitting now in Cape Town with 12 seats in council, and they grew from 4 to 12. And we're expecting again significant growth with this party because it's a very, very very good party. It's an honest party, and people need to give change a chance. And hopefully they're going to give myself a chance and the party that's backing me.
Okay, so do you want to give us perhaps a bit of the history of the neighborhood and your experiences in the neighborhood, and then let's lead on to why people should vote for you.
Okay, lovely.
So tell us about the Freedom Front and Tea Party.
Well, look, it's unfair. I met with 8 political parties. Some of them, some of the parties you've already interviewed. I met with everyone from UIM. That's Neil de Beer, Gayton McKenzie. I've met with the DA. They were looking at me as standing for them in this area with Michael Begram. I went into a meeting with them. I've spoken to Mashaba. Musi is not contesting here. The Cape Party have already got a candidate. So what I was looking for, James, and it's important.
Sorry, Mark says Paul Jacobson for councillor candidate, Freedom Front. Mark Givers.
Oh, thanks. He's
Bless
a
Mark.
huge supporter, and
Thank you, Mark.
He's guided me many times. In fact, Mark joined me many times with different political parties, and in the end, James, I came to the conclusion I needed a party that would welcome me as their family, that's not going to hold me back, because I am no politician. I am.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for 1 second? Hello, everybody who's watching all over the planet. Hello, hello, hello. If you're watching on Facebook, please like and share. What must everybody do? Like and share. All of us, 1, 2, 3. Like and share. Right. If you're watching on Twitter, what must you do? Retweet. What must I do? Retweet. And on YouTube, just share the link. So please, guys, and remember, you can ask questions. So I'm not seeing any questions. We are absolutely, hello Jackie who's watching, hi Jackie. You are welcome to ask questions. We absolutely welcome questions. So just remember, like and share, all right? And ask some questions. Do go on, sir.
So James, what I'm saying is that in the end, I was looking for a party that valued my leadership skills, knowing that I know my community better than ever. Every community has its own challenges. And I needed to feel comfortable in a party that would recognize me as a good leader. And like I said, I met with 8 political parties, and the only party that said, Paul, we recognize you as a leader, and your manifesto or your strong points that you're fighting for your community are aligned with ours. So the Freedom Front Plus was that party after having met and sat with many other people. And they have the ambition and the faith that I can challenge this DA stronghold. The DA stronghold for your listeners and your listeners who's tuning in the last by-election, the DA received 89% of the votes. The next competitor came in at 7%, which means I have to grow. I have to get 51% from the next best opposition at 7%. And they have faith in me, and they are investing in me, and they've seen that they are prepared to come into the lion's den and fight for this community with me. And they've given me all resources, they've given me all the faith, and they're not holding me back whatsoever. So
let's go into that. Some of the hi everybody who's watching. Some of the how can we put this principles slash ethics that you have. Do you want to touch on some of the issues that you are standing for?
Well, look, the first thing is the biggest issue is that we have a very dominant national government in the ANC, and we have a very dominant local government in the Democratic Alliance. But that doesn't mean that they look after the values and principles of smaller minority groups. And it doesn't mean that they have to have this tyrant behavior. It doesn't mean because they're the majority that myself as a Jewish man or a person who speaks Afrikaans, or an Afrikaner whose homeland is Afrikaans, or a colored person who's living who values his language and his accent. So what they've done, and they've enshrined it in the Constitution. They embedded 3 wonderful constitutions supporting the minority. The big problem with the Freedom Front Plus, James, is that they've had a stigma from days gone by, and it was an exclusive Afrikaans organization. And my most important thing to me is my integrity and my name. And I would never get involved with any organization or party that is not multi-representative of our beautiful rainbow nation. And people have this perception, but James, 68% of the ward nominees for Freedom Front Plus in the Cape Town metropolitan area are people of color.
Okay.
The top 10 ward nominees, 50% are people of color. The number one mayoral, I couldn't even say that word.
Mayoral, yes.
Mayoral
yes.
candidate is Leonard Max, advocate, a man of color. So it was such a beautiful, and it was reaffirmed. My decision was fantastic, James. I was in Parliament when they announced the top 10 candidates, and I'm blessed that they've recognized me as a top politician, and I'm very high in the proportional listing there. And it was just so wonderful being in there with this family. Now you've got a mixture of strong Afrikaans people, and you've got a diverse culture, a different cultural group from a colored community. And so with Dr. Mulder and Dr. Groenewald, I would say, yes, sir, good day, sir, how's sir doing? And then you meet Leonard Max and say, hello, my brother. It was such a beautiful, and we all were there to serve our community. It was a beautiful feel that every one of those 10 candidates were indebted to their community. And that is what I'm finding so wonderful about working with them. It's not, and like Leonard Max said, who was the previous commissioner of police, when he goes to his grave, as when I do, I want to be recognized as a person that stood up for their community. So James, I believe that our women and our children need protection. There have been thousands and thousands of incidences of harassment in this area. It has decayed tremendously. I stand for.
So you're speaking specifically in Sea Point and Ward 54.
Ward 54. Yeah,
okay.
Look, it's fallen apart, and we have a tremendous issue of vagrancy or homelessness, as many other parts of the world. But our city hasn't taken enough care. We have massive budgets, and we're still finding hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people sleeping on the street, which breaks my heart because no human should be, not everybody can live in a mansion, but nobody deserves to live in the street. And the more you spend time on the street, you get affected by the bad element. And what happens now is our women, our children are fearful they don't go out. So I stand as a proud person to protect our women and children. I also stand for the upliftment of law and order. Our bylaws are integral to the fiber of our society, and I stand until they are affected in the courts. I must stand by the bylaws presented to us. But also importantly, I stand for giving with dignity. I stand for assisting our less fortunate in a dignified way. And it appears that there's huge, or not a huge, there's a difference in opinion of people fighting for the rights of people to sleep on the street. And then you have another group as myself that want to uplift our fellow humans, give them a better opportunity through a shelter system or social services in that way. So those are my main campaign.
Can I jump in right there?
Sure.
So I was given a statistic that there are estimated to be 13,000 people who are, and I mean the word, I'm not going to say the word homeless. I myself suffered from 12.5 years of homelessness from childhood sexual abuse. So I'm going to say displaced. There are 13,000 displaced people, but I'm told that there are only 4,000 spaces. So again, you don't fix homelessness by giving somebody a home. That's not how it works. But in terms of resources being maybe underutilized, not in existence, what you say you stand for that, but how are you going to fix that? Right now, say, for example, there's 5 people on this block who are, and again, heartbreaking. They sleep at night in the street and rats, actual rats, run over people. I have seen it myself. And I can't save everybody. I can buy a couple of people some sandwiches, but please explain to me how we actually do that. How are you going to do that?
Well, first, can I tell you a little story about the starfish? So little boys on the beach with his father, and there's thousands of starfish that have been washed up onto the seashore, and the son is distressed. He said, "Dad, what are we going to do? There's so many starfish that have been washed up, destined to die." And the dad said, "Well, there's just so many of them, just leave it." And he goes, the boy, and he takes one starfish and he throws it into the sea. He says, well, it mattered to that starfish. The point is, this stat that you gave me of 14 or 13,000 people that are homeless, and I thought the stats were around about 1,500 to 2,500.
Oh, no. In
beds.
our area.
No,
It's
beds
4,000. 4,000.
What if it, you can save 4,000 souls? So the reality is, let us get those 4,000 souls into beds, and when the city does not provide further, then we can point fingers and say, city, all your shelters are full, you need further assistance. But this non-pragmatic approach of say, well, we've got 14,000 homeless, 4,000 beds, it doesn't work. Let's assist 4,000. So my campaign is so strong around giving with dignity. People see people outside there and they see they're nothing more than plastic. James, I know everyone from Marvin to Martin. I engage with people. The fact that a person is destitute doesn't make him less of a human. It makes him a struggling human being. And to see someone out there and to allow him to eat from the gutter or sleep with rats running, and you have to hide your luggage in drains. You have to sleep in gangs because you get harassed. You get affected by the elements. You know what it's like over this in winter. It's freezing.
Yeah.
We have TB. We've got this corona issue now, underlying immune deficiencies. We need to assist those people. So what can I do besides getting the law enforcement to act on their mandate? My big campaign is about giving with dignity. Where are all the posters on the poles saying give with dignity? Why does this restaurant here not have a Hall of Fame that this restaurant stands by giving with dignity? Why are we not having more appeals every day by our councillors to support our people through an approach of giving dignity? Where are the wonderful video campaigns from our prominent role players saying, if I was a famous guy, which hopefully you're going to make me, James, famous, and I can succeed, I would say to the people out there, let us all be generous. Let us open our hearts to compassion, but let's do it in a dignified way.
I'm so sorry, I just have to tell you that Peter Sachs has said many people have mental illness, and you take photos of them in the most vulnerable way and then label them terribly on your censored social media group why it is terrible. I'm just reading it out.
No, what I think I know this Peter Sachs. It's not a real name anyway. It's not a true identity. But I'm happy to answer that question anyway.
Sure.
Yeah,
So I'll just reread it. Many
Yeah.
have. So he's talking. I'm
Yeah.
guessing about
Yeah.
the homeless people.
Yeah.
Displaced. Many have mental illnesses,
Yeah.
and you take photos of them in the most vulnerable way,
Yeah.
and then label them terribly on your censored social media group. Why it is terrible. So off you go there.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that, but well, it's not true. What we're trying to do is lift people and get them out of this the situation that they are, and for that we need assistance from the city. We have beds available. What we don't have is suitable social workers and psychiatrists. The city is alleged to have 10 to 17 billion rand in their accounts. Why is that not being used to provide proper social services, proper social workers? How can you send a 17-year-old field worker to a man who's been living on the street for 30 years? He's an adult. Come on, the city can do so much better with supportive. But I think what Peter finds offensive is the fact that we take photographs. Sometimes it's
So I haven't seen the photographs. How do you take photographs?
So
Are you taking a photograph of their place of dwelling or themselves?
Occasionally we take, if they're in a situation where they show act of criminality, so if we find someone with a knife, we will take a picture, and if they are exposing their genitalia, we block that out, and we also do, depending on the situation, block out their faces. And the point of that, even though it is sensationalism, is to say to our community, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. But your deed of supporting that person on the street is inevitably ending his life prematurely. because James, no one, not metal rusts in the rain, wood decays. Imagine what it does to a human's body lying day in day. They cry at night. They're human beings. It's only flesh. So we need to make the brave decision and say, excuse me, sir.
I'm so sorry. There's
Yeah.
lots of. I'm so sorry. There are comments, and I have to
Yeah.
read them out to you, sir.
Yeah.
So, Judge Weinberg, it's a long comment. Mweni, Mr. Jacobson, what is your stance on doxing those who have different opinions to you on how to approach the unhoused on the Atlantic seaboard? Last year, you wrote on Facebook, does anyone know who this name edited lives? You see, having grown up in Sea Point, and having gone to a hard school like Sea Point High, we often solve these matters the streetwise way. Does somebody know where she lives? Blah, 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 blah. From my understanding, the person in question was assisting the unhoused with food. In addition to your stance on doxing as a tactic against detractors, please be so kind as to explain what exactly streetwise way means, as well as what you intended to do with said person's home address. Many thanks, Joe. Hang on a second. Then ANS Prop says the homeless on our streets do not come from our community. They come from other communities into an ordered community that does not squat on the streets. And then Peter says, but you are breaking the law in doing that. They have rights not to be criminalized on your media. Some photos, the person is doing absolutely nothing wrong. Okay, so basically, okay, so that's one, that's now picking up on what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that's Judd and ANS Props and Peter again. So,
So look, Peter is we know him. It's a bogus a name. It's not a real name, but it doesn't matter. His questions are legitimate. And as I've explained, you've got two schools of thought, and this is the matter. This is the whole issue. One school of thought wants to fight for legitimacy of people sleeping on the street, and the other, my group, my person, is to lift people into shelters. And that is simply where the division. So the different comments you're going to come through are attacking the person on the persona. What he's attempting to do is to diminish my credibility. If I may even answer that question, it is in the court papers, by the way, and the magistrate has found in my favor with all the costs. That was in reference to finding out a lady who was supporting living on the street, encouraging people to open their bins and feed. And we suggested.
sorry, there's another comment. Sorry, sir, I have to read them as they come. Romy Seaforth. I could have predicted the usual Paul haters have shown up to try to agitate.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm used to it, James. It's not. I stand by my conviction of being righteous, and making the right moral decision without political agenda. My opponents or my nemesis have political ulterior motives, which I don't believe are honest. If you really care for another human being, as if it was your own child, you would want that person at any cost off the street. And this is what I do. So what this bogus Peter is talking about is this doxing. So what it was 6 years ago, the lady was purporting that the bins should remain open and fed. And we suggested, well, where do you live? Then we will take all the vagrants or displaced people to that address. The other question that came in from AS thing is, yes, when I started out, James, when I was a young boy, there's always been homeless people here. We called them bergies, where people lived in the mountain. And there was a handful, 10. It was just part of our community. I guesstimate that in my ward, there must be 6.
Sorry, Peter Sachs has said, sorry, again. Okay, so this is kind of, just hang on a second. Okay, so hey there, everybody. So it's me again. As I said, it is absolutely fine if you have dissenting opinions, no problem at all. But we need to remain, what's the word I'm looking for? As kind and respectful and dignified as we possibly can. So Peter Sachs has said 2 things. You threatened real physical violence against her. Your comment is black and white terrible. You said you are streetwise and would sort her out in that manner that does not refer to moving bins or people. Okay, so I'm going to call a moment to this. So basically, this is kind of going. I'm not saying it's going off topic, but what we are talking about right now is the past. And what I really want to discuss, and this is for Peter. I'm not blocking you at all. Please don't get me wrong. What we need to do is discuss what the way forward is and what Peter stands for to sort out this issue. Okay, so the things that you're talking about right now, I don't have details to be a fair person who's giving all sides airtime of this other person that you are discussing. So it's a little bit of hearsay. It may have happened, may not. I do not, under any circumstances, Peter. Hi, Peter. I don't, under any circumstances, say that it isn't true. But that is kind of veering off the topic of what is going to happen with Paul's platform and how he's planning to fix things. So if we can just kind of focus on the future and what that stands for, and then perhaps maybe you can make a blanket statement. Mark has said, Peter Sachs, why don't you appear in person and show us who you really are? You're in words out of context. Okay, stop. We're losing. All right, we're losing track here. Okay, so Peter, by all means, thank you for your comments. I'm not blocking again, of course. Romy says, Peter Sachs, you've always been a hater. You spend some time. Okay. Right, stop.
Okay, let's stop.
Stop. Everybody, stop right there. Daddy's taking over. Okay? Y'all are not being nice to each other. Okay? By all means, if you wish to have this conversation off media and fight with each other, I'm not going to stop you to do that because that is your right. But on my channel, we are not having people attacking each other. I don't even know either side at all. Romy and Mark and Peter and everybody else who's commenting, you are more than welcome to talk to each other, but not on this broadcast. Okay? This is taking away from what I want to discuss is why somebody should vote for Paul. Okay? So we're going to cut it right there. And I'm not reading out any more comments. If you want to post them, you can post them, but I'm not reading them out. Okay? So thank you, Romy. No problemo. Love you. Thank you. I don't like it when people are going to use my platform to attack each other. It doesn't work for me. So I was coming on here to introduce you guys to Paul, so we can find out why you should put an X next to his name. Okay, so we're gonna pick it up again. All right, so we're gonna move on. So okay, why again? Here's a great question. Why should somebody put an X next to you? What are you gonna do that the ANC or the DA or the Good Party or the Cape Independent Party or the UIM or the SA First, who else? Everybody else I spoke to. What are you gonna do they won't? Tell us about that.
The one thing I have, it's what's today? Friday.
Thursday.
Oh, geez, so people in a festive mood already. James, the fact I live here, I love this area. I grew up. I have all the passion. That in itself, you know, I could, with respect to, and I'm not here. We have to be respectful. Councillor Joel, for example, lives in the other side of the mountain. I could not go into her area and do a sterling job.
Sorry, just explain to people that is the person who is currently holding this ward as a councillor. Okay.
So our councillor lives on the other side of the mountain, and I live here.
Sorry, just explain to people the other side of the mountain means City Bowl or Claremont. Or...
So we had this beautiful
mountain. So you're saying that this person doesn't live here?
No, Councillor Joel lives in Tamberskloof or Vrederhof,
which is about 6 kilometers away.
Yeah, but it's a different ward completely. So Councillor Joel won't be voting in this ward. He can't do like in the States where you put the ballot in your own area. I can do that. And as if I remember it, I think it's just myself. So you can hear me. Okay.
Just hang on a second. Let me just explain to people. Yes, we are live and we're in a restaurant. And no, wait, it's fine. What we are thrilled to find out is that it is super busy and people are enjoying themselves. Thank you, God. If you take nothing else away from this broadcast, get off your ass, go to a restaurant, go to a bar, go to a nightclub, go and spend some money with restaurateurs, hoteliers, tour guides, be a visitor in your own city. As you know, I've campaigned for this for years. Please go and have some fun. Go to a restaurant. It is now 4:30, and there are people going crazy for happy hour, and it is absolutely brilliant. We do apologize for the sound, but I'm not going to tell people to be quiet because they're also enjoying their constitutional right to enjoy the neighborhood. So please be like the people who are making the noise. Be like the people making the noise. We love the people making the noise. If it gets too much, then we'll move outside. All right, sir, do go on.
So James, if I'm not mistaken, it's only myself and Gavin Ford representing the Cape Party who live here. And may I say that Gavin Ford himself is a wonderful candidate. He also grew up with me at Sea Point, or he was at Sea Point School. And the reality is that when you grow up, you have an affection for this area. I love this area. I live for this area. I know where every loquat tree is, or mulberry tree. I know where the crayfish holes are. I know the surf spots. I know every place. I absolutely adore that. And that's in my advantage because I will fight for everything to restore this area to the pristine status that it should have. But also, James, one has to be accountable for action or lack of action. And what we've seen in the last 5 years, an incredible decay on this Atlantic seaboard. Once a peril of the world, top tourist destination, and people heads have to roll. You have to be held accountable. That said, you ask me, what would I do differently? I need to unite this community together. That means our South African police services, our city improvement districts, our ratepayers associations, and our community. That will be one of my missions to bring us all together.
So you think at the moment the internal communications are not optimized?
It's terrible and,
Okay.
and a lot.
So in other words, what you're saying is
Yeah.
somebody wants to open up a restaurant and a liquor license, and somebody needs a business license. Your way of actually getting all of that together is now insurmountable or difficult.
Well, not really on that issue. I'm sure that the city officials do a decent job there. What I'm talking about, unifying this community with other challenges, the challenges of lawless behavior, of vagrancy, of taxi drivers. That
Oh, so sorry,
yeah,
Chris is talking to us from the United States.
yeah.
Hi, oh wait, this is one of my biggest supporters on HAPS. Hello, Chris. You finally caught me live. Hey. He has said, hello, James. This is some good first-hand political representation and interviewing. Oh, bless you. And another comment from, okay, I'm going to read out this one.
Yeah.
Peter says you have been attacking those organizations. How will you now partner with them?
So like
Which I
any,
think is that, I mean, everybody has dissent.
look, I'm partly to blame for some of the discourse because I don't stand back. The authorities have a mandate, whether it's the Improvement District, South African Police Services, or a Ratepayers Association. I haven't held back with my punches, and I've held them according to mandate. They have a responsibility to act on that mandate. But I'm also brave enough to try bring the community together when I am councillor, because that you can't lose face. You have to be brave enough, responsible enough to bring all partners together. I'm a businessman, James. I'm not a politician. And to make any entity work, you need to bring all partners together and make it happen. And on that point,
Sorry, Romy
yeah.
has said, Peter, you are speaking the truth. Oh, wait a minute. Peter, you are not speaking the truth. Holding people, hang on a second, holding people accountable is not attacking. All right, hang on a second, hang on, wait a minute. Okay, all right, we can let that one go. People are talking to each other in the comments, that's fine.
Yeah.
So basically she's saying
Yeah.
that she supports you because if somebody's not doing their job, you are calling that person out and you are holding them to a higher level of accountability than perhaps others would. Which is again a Cape Town thing, perhaps, with people who just let stuff go. As everybody, hang on a second, I can jump in here myself. So for those of you that know, I have a huge, gigantic bugbear about customer service. And having trained multinationals in how to do it, and having grown up with the world's very, very, very best, from first class to Concords to all these wonderful things, I know how to do it properly, and I consistently tell people when they're getting it wrong. The reason that they continue to do it wrong is because you don't open your mouth and say something is wrong. I'm not saying be abusive, nor am I saying be personal with the server or the manager. That is not okay. But if you sit there and tell them that the steak is great, and then you tell all your friends the steak is shit, you're responsible for how that steak is cooked for the next person, because you didn't tell them they're doing it wrong. If you do not inform people, they believe that it is okay. So the idea is that we are looking at a dynamic where you teach people how to treat you and others. So there are just a couple of quick comments. Paul, how do you think the spatial legacy of apartheid can be addressed in Cape Town? Do you believe creating low-cost housing in previously whites-only areas is the answer? If not, what are your ideas on the subject? Many thanks, Judd.
Again, yeah, look, I do not support low-cost housing in prime residential area.
Tell us why.
It's, you see, you know Bishop's Court, for example. Bishop's
Just
Court,
explain to people who have no idea what that is.
okay, Bishop's Court is the most exclusive area of Cape Town. Some of their houses are worth 20, 30,000, $1 million dollars.
Sorry, Romy said that's right, James. People must speak up. Okay, do go on.
Thank you, Romy. If you had to set up a low-cost housing facility in a prime residential area, it disadvantages another group of people. Why should one group benefit at the expense of the
Sorry, sir. Can I just ask you to hang on 1 second? Okay. Guys, I'm able to see your comments to each other as well. And I can see that you're now passing your time by sniping at each other. Please don't, okay? Not because I don't want everything, I want everything to be beautiful. The reason I don't want it to be like this is it takes away from what the nice man is saying, because everybody's going to start reading you guys fighting with each other. By all means, find each other on whatever network and have a private convo by all means, but please, you guys are now attacking each other in the comments. This is not okay, all right? And everybody involved in the dynamic is going to be blocked. So I'm watching you all like a hawk. Please be kind, respectful, and dignified. Daddy's here. Okay, I'm watching y'all. I love you all. You all have the right to speak, but stop being so mean and bitchy to each other. Okay? Please listen to the man. And if you don't agree, that's fine. But please don't fight with each other. And please don't take away from... I hope everybody who's commenting is going to get off their arse and go and vote. That is my only... I absolutely insist that everybody who's commented here goes to Sea Point High, Sea Point Primary, Sea Point Primary.
We've got 8 locations.
8 locations on the 1st of November and makes an X. Okay, so just FYI, I love you all. Thank you for supporting or not supporting Peter, Paul, or Peter, or me, or whatever, that's fine. But please, guys, stop fighting. Okay, thank you.
So James, just getting back to that, you know,
it's almost like kindergarten. It's almost like you have to just.
I deal with this.
No, it's fine. I love my followers. I love everybody. And the thing is, though, when people start fighting with each other, they lose focus. We need to hear why you don't want to put low-cost housing in what is the country's most expensive residential retail area. It is more expensive than Bryanston in Joburg.
So look, we have to think of other ways to solve this problem. We have to acknowledge that people commute and it costs money. People, employers can be far more generous. Our community can be far more generous. This is where it comes to Jake, as a community and business owners, employers, you can throw in another $500 to your employee's package to accommodate his transportation, but to accommodate in a highly densely populated area of Sea Point. Remember, we are in between a mountain and a sea, and there's very, very little area for growth. And that is why we're seeing properties going up and not wide. We cannot accommodate what we call a low-cost housing or affordable housing in a highly condensed area. But I am pleading to my fellow community people and businessmen to show more generosity. If we only were more generous human beings, we would resolve all these matters, the poverty, and we do have differences from the apartheid era, and we have to be very, very discerning about.
Sorry, hang on one second. There is another comment. It is not only about commuting, but about reversing spatial apartheid. Why should somebody have to commute for 2 hours to get to work? So when I spoke to the ANC yesterday, Thandi said that her lifestyle, she had moved into the area, and her political party did not uplift her. They didn't give her a huge check. She was inspired by being around clean streets, clean neighborhood, street sites work, instead of a depressing, previously, shall we say, lower income area like a township where it felt like there was no hope. So the conversation was about hope. And she felt that moving into Sea Point gave her more hope, and so did her neighbor and her comrades. So you are saying we can't change the fact that these people exist. So you think these people should stay in the townships?
No, not necessarily. That what the city is providing, and I understand. Well, I think they've changed the philosophy.
Hang on 1 second, Donnie. Hang on. Guys. You know I love you, right? I love you all, but you're not listening to me. Donnie and Romy, I swear to God, don't make me stop this broadcast, and don't make me turn this car around, okay? So Donnie and Romy, stop fighting with each other. I love you both. Romy seems to have stopped. Donnie, you're carrying on. Stop it. Okay? These are not hopeful things that you are doing. All right?
Donnie hates me.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's okay. But please fight with each other off camera. Okay? By all means, it's great. But right now, people are now looking at the conversation that you guys are having. It's not cool. All right? And if you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't watch.
James,
you go on, sir.
Yeah. So the city has made a commitment to providing affordable housing.
So just to be clear, that's the Democratic Alliance run city.
It's a democratic run city, and they appear to have changed their philosophy as from yesterday or a little bit, but their intention was to set affordable housing in the outskirts of the CBD, which means people would have to commute from the affordable housing set up outside our central area, which is reasonable. Most of the world commutes into the CBD. And what I'm suggesting, to make that possible, employers have to start forking out more for their cost of transport. The reality is, in an area that's highly condensed, like Sea Point, there is just no facility, there is no land, there are no buildings to accommodate a huge amount of people in this suburb. You can assist 200 people, but that's not going to solve the problem. And as I've mentioned before, there can be no economic reason, no reason why one community benefits at the expense of another. Now, for example, I have a friend, Kirsty. She lived in the plains, Mitchell's Plains.
Sorry, Romy says everybody globally does commute. Okay, Donnie, your comment I'm not going to read out, but please, one more comment, and I'm sad I'm going to have to block you. The last time I blocked somebody was 2 years ago on a broadcast. Please don't make me do it. Romy said everybody globally, people do commute.
Yeah, that's correct. Look, so we have a challenge. I think I lost my attention.
Sorry, she says the spatial argument is relative, but only to a point, says Romy, about where people should live. Because what maybe people don't understand is the workers of the neighborhood. Valerie says people all over the world commute to places of work. Why should it be different for Sea Point? So I don't necessarily know. People think of this as a commute from a leafy suburb to a fabulous urban metro. What we're talking about is people commuting from a rundown, really possibly dangerous area for 2 hours to come to work in a place in the city in Sea Point to then go home, from a horrible place to a nice place.
So, it's going to be...
Nobody can change that. in
No,
5 minutes.
We can't judge in five, and Seapoint is so congested that it's impossible. But we have a responsibility to the residents who are currently living here as well, James. You can't ignore. I'll give you a wonderful example.
Sorry, Alfred, I'm so sorry, sir, but
Yeah.
just hold that thought. This is how it goes, you see, because we're
Yeah,
not in
because I
control.
wanted to make a very
No,
important
people,
point. Yeah.
please hold that thought.
Yeah.
Because people are in control, not us.
Yeah.
Alfred says, can you explain what the cost to the community is of having low-income housing here?
So that's a good question. So what I'm suggesting, and it's just a matter of fact, that if you've got a big mansion and you have a low-cost housing set up next to it, that property, that mansion value will diminish. Now, Kirsty, for example, came from the outskirts, the area that you were talking about. She took her and her mother away from that area. She invested, took every cent that she had, and she invested in a property with her mom in Seapoint. She would be so aggrieved, and I have chatted to, it's an actual person, Kirsty, the fact that her investment, her lifetime investment, her fixed assets will diminish in value when a low-cost, affordable housing facility is set up next to it. And what does that do, James? You ask, what's the impact of the economy? The reality is...
Sorry, that was Alfred.
So, Alfred, the reality is that city coffers are filled by our rate payments. We pay 99.99 Rand out of 100 of our rate contribution goes to the city's coffers, where they utilize that for social upliftment and assisting our poor. Now, if the property values plummet or fall...
Sorry, just explain to people what you're telling us is that your Seapoint tax goes to the whole of Cape Town's city money bank account, so they can then fix a street light somewhere not in your neighborhood. You don't get to choose where your rates and taxes are spent.
And this is a big contention, because some of us argue. We work so hard, we put in all our savings, and we built a beautiful property, and you're not giving us the service. You're taking all our money and you're taking it out of our community. But we do have an obligation to to the rest of our community. But I also want to suggest, James, this area of Seapoint is a place, a destination for visitors from everywhere, not only from Australia. On the weekends, public holidays, we have visitors coming from Khayelitsha, which is a settlement. How would you describe Khayelitsha? It's a township, it's a city, it's almost, but yeah, and people are welcome to come and enjoy our amenities. And if we don't invest heavily in our amenities, this is an embarrassment for the visitors that come, who want to enjoy walking on our promenade, who want to play with their kids on the swings, who want to have their promenade ward looked after, cared for, that the roads are in immaculate condition. Therefore, milk us, milk this golden cow that we have in Seapoint. We are the biggest contributors to the city's coffers than any other suburb in South Africa or in Cape Town. But don't let those property values plummet, because the coffers of the city will shrink and we'll have less money to support our impoverished community and our destitute.
Okay, I need to just tell you that we're heading up to 1 hour.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you is, you've got, say, one sentence.
Yeah.
Vote for me on the 1st of November because...
What? I said, what? Vote for me on the 1st of November because I live for this.
Hold it. Judd has said, Paul, as you know, sorry, Seapoint is the heart of Jewish Cape Town. How does your Jewish identity influence... This is the last question we're taking, you guys.
Okay.
How does your Jewish identity influence your political position? Also, do you believe... I'm not touching the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in this. Wait, okay, fair enough. I'll read it out.
Yeah.
Do you believe that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict should be an issue in a South African municipal election? So he wants to know if you being Jewish affects your politics.
And I'm a proud Jew and I'm a proud Zionist, but I believe that everybody has the right, as I represent the Freedom Front Plus, to have their cultures supported and protected. And this isn't a matter of Israel versus Palestine. This is about what I can do for the community. Yes, we have a strong Jewish community here, but we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Hindus living here, and we need to protect the integrity of all those cultural groups.
So I think there's one quick question about pollution. Paul, could you quickly do a comment on how the DA-controlled city pollutes the oceans?
It's absolutely disgraceful. That's one of I forgot to allude. My friend Mark keeps on saying I say elude, but it's allude. If you take an aerial view, James, of above,
yes, I've seen the plume.
No,
yes.
It's disgusting. You know, it's and I work with some environmentalists on that. I'm a surfer. I love the sea. I swim. That is part of my thing. We have to clean up those oceans. It's killing our marine life. Plastics flying into the sea, and any of our visitors that come from Europe, they see this litter and everything. It's disgraceful. We've got to protect our marine life.
But doesn't this area have a number of blue flag beaches?
We do.
How is that achievable with sewage being pumped in the ocean?
Exactly. So
it can't be that bad if they've given the blue flag.
Well, I think that the blue flag was given a while back.
Okay.
I think the next time round, it's very evident that the environmentalists have shown that our Atlantic Ocean is not as beautiful and peril as it used to be. So that's certainly part of my campaign. We are blessed. We were talking about that smell of the seaweed.
Yeah.
If you go to Woolly Point, which is part of my ward, you smell sewage. We used to go surf and we found condoms and human poo on our surfboard. Yeah. The same in Camps Bay. You get that smell of sewage. So that's certainly going to be, as an environmentalist and somebody who loves nature, I'm going to fight tooth and nail. We've got to clean that up.
All right, so now, here you go. You've got one sentence. Are you ready? Vote for me on the 1st of November because
I live in this community. I work in this community. My children go to the school in this community. I will do everything to make this community and suburb safe for yourself, for your children, for your wives, and all visitors to Rove, as other world tourist destinations can boast. I want to make this a top destination that is an invite for people from all over.
And sorry, I'm gonna. This is shameless. Okay, it's shameless because everybody had to do it. So, a message of hope, sir, for the people of South Africa of all political persuasions from you.
We've got the most unique culture or composition of cultures, and everybody has a different understanding of their culture, and we have different behaviors. But if you just sit and engage with your fellow friend next door, black, white, or brown, you'll find them incredibly interesting. As I mentioned, I traveled for 11 years. The most beautiful thing is people, James. And if you took the time to sit and listen to other people, you will understand that yes, they have a different culture, different dress code. Some people speak loud, some people softly. But in the end, we're all human beings. And you'll find that living in this rainbow nation with all our various cultural groups can be fantastic. It is the place to come and live if you want to be entertained culturally with our food, with our song, with our dance.
Great. Okay, so sorry, right at the end of the conversation, there was a comment from Peter, which I did warn was going to be blocked, and that person is now blocked. Romy says, James, there is so much evidence to prove how polluted and toxic our oceans are. Can I share with you? Yes, of course you may. Megan, don't panic. That person is now blocked. So I haven't had to do that for 2 years, guys. So yes, quite sad. But anyway, reached the end of the conversation. So I'd like to say thank you very much. First of all, there he is. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Thank you for being here at this restaurant and supporting the people. And thank you for telling us about what you stand for. And who are you voting for? No, I'm joking. So are you voting for yourself? Oh my God, you're not really, are you?
I'll be one of the few that will be able to, because I live here. So I will certainly be voting for myself.
Good answer. Spoken like a politician. All right, so guys, back to me. And then I'd like to just say thank you very much to everybody for watching. If you have made it this far, please like and share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, and on YouTube, all you can do is actually share the link. So please do stay tuned. If any other political party out there is watching and you wish to be included in a future broadcast, please will you phone me 073 44 55 405. Okay, one more time 073 44 55 405. Romy says, thank you both, Paul. Keep up the good work. You're a mensch. And Megan says, thank you, James and Paul. Thank you, people. And also, one more thing, I am thinking of something. Um, would you be open to, like they do, smiley faces from Romy? Like they do in America. I don't know why people don't do it. If we had, even if it's through various remote locations, you and the ANC and the DA and myself, and we host the debate.
Absolutely.
You're happy to do that?
Of course.
Okay, so I will get hold of the people from the DA and the ANC and see if they are happy with that. And I'm hoping they will be. And I hope that this helps you to make a decision. I do not mind for whom you vote. Paul does, but I don't mind. Please vote.
You must say one more
You may,
comment.
of course, sir.
One more last
there you go.
comment. Like in any business or industry, you need competition. And that's also the same in the political environment. So just like our national government is the ANC, deserves competition. The DA also needs competition for produce excellence.
Sorry, Mark
yeah.
says Paul for mayor.
There's a long way to go. But James, you are a legend because you have competition. You work hard on service delivery. And this is why smaller parties holding the DA or ANC accountable goes a long way to producing excellence. Competition, coalitions, small parties are going to make the change. They have a say, and they can hold the bigger parties accountable for the things that we also want.
That is how the system is supposed to work.
It should.
All right, and one more thing. Thank you very much for watching, you guys. As always, I want to send everybody some love, especially those who have done hateful comments, maybe need more love than anybody else. And I want to thank you for watching. Please like and share, like and share, like and share. What must people do?
Like and share.
Matt Damon. Nicole says Paul for president. And Romy says accountability is everything. Guys, I gotta go. All right, and then also I want to just say personally to all my haters out there, and there are a number of them, I want to thank you because every time you post something about me and you tag me, you push up my stats. Thank you guys. Bye.
So that's